Hello! Edie and I are home alone this weekend, so I thought I'd take the opportunity, use the quiet time to make a few videos for our channel. And I thought I would really like to start by telling you a little bit more about us. And one of the ways to do that will be to tell you about our children's names and how we came to choose them. So for those of you that don't follow my blog or have not watched any of our previous videos, we have 5 children. So our first children were born in 2010. They're our IVF babies. So we had 5 cycles of IVF, and the 5th cycle resulted in our twins, boy-girl twins, who were born 3 months premature. So they were due in October of 2010, and they were actually born in the July. Esther was born first of all, our little girl. Her name is Esther Grace, and her brother, born 22 minutes after her, is William Nairn. So I'm going to explain to you why we chose those names. After Esther and William, 22 months after, baby Tilda was born, our Matilda May. Sadly, she died when she was 9 months old, but she's still very much part of our family and one of the 5 children that you will hear me talk about. Our first rainbow baby was born in 2014 after a miscarriage, and also, of course, the loss of Tilda. And we called our first rainbow baby Beatrice Hope, and there's a lovely story behind her name, which I'll be really pleased to share with you. And our 5th baby, who is 2 months old today, is Edith Mabel. We call her Edie May, and again there's a lovely story behind her name too. So today I would like to tell you how we came to choose the names of our children and the meanings behind them. Naming Edie was really tricky. She was our 4th girl and our 2nd rainbow baby. So we'd already used our favourite girls' names. There were a couple that I really liked still. Edith had been on our list for every baby, and Mabel was a name that I just really liked and David wasn't very keen on. I had it in my head that if Edie was born a big baby, then we'd call her Edith, and if she was a smaller baby, then we'd call her Mabel. And really we didn't know until the time that she was born which of those names we would give her. When she was born, she was perfectly average, 8 pounds 3. So in my head she was small enough to be called Mabel, but when I looked at her I saw Edith. So I was looking at her and saying, "Hello, Edith," and then I said, "But you are actually the right size to be called Mabel." And David looked over at me and he said, "Why don't we call her Edith Mabel?" Because we had thought that if she was called Edith, her middle name would be May, but between the two of us we couldn't decide on the spelling, because she was born in the month of May, so we could have used May, but a huge part of me wanted her to share Tilda's middle name, to carry that name forward, and Matilda was Matilda May, M-A-E. So we had originally thought Edith would be Edith May, but then just when she was born, as she was first in our arms and we were talked about it, we decided on Edith Mabel. Edith is a family name on the Henley side, so David's grandmother and great-grandmother were both called Edith. It's a name that we've had on a list for all of our girls. I really like it, and I love the shortened version of Edie. Edith means prosperous in battle, which has links to mighty in battle, which is the meaning of both William and Matilda. So I liked that her name had really strong links to her siblings. Her middle name is Mabel, which means lovable, and it is a really pretty name and perfect for our final baby girl. We shorten her name to Edie May, so we call her Edie day to day, but if anyone asks me, "Oh, what's her name?" I'll say, "Oh, her name's Edie May." And the reason that she has the middle name Mabel, the reason that we've shortened that to May, is because Matilda's middle name was May. May means star of the sea. It's also a pet version of Mary, which is David's mum's name. So it has links to family, and also Matilda is our star of the sea. Esther's name means star, and so when we named Tilda, Matilda linked to William and May linked to both Granny's name Mary and to Esther's name, meaning of star. And it really means a lot to me that Tilda's middle name is going to be carried forward by Edie, and she is already a huge charactered baby, even at 8 weeks, and I'm certain that she's carrying a bit of Tilda's spirit with her, just as I'm certain that Bee does too. So yes, Edith Mabel, mighty in battle, lovable, and Edie May, mighty in battle, star of the sea. When we were trying to conceive Bee, I had it in my head that her name would be Meredith Hope. David wasn't sure about using the initial M again after Matilda, and I'm not sure he really liked the name Mary that much. I have a very special friend called Mary, who I chose the name after. Between losing Tilda and conceiving Bee, we actually lost a baby very early on in pregnancy, and I gave her the name Meredith Hope. So we do have our Meredith Hope somewhere in heaven. But the rainbow baby that was born to us, we called Beatrice Hope. We don't ever call her Beatrice. She calls herself it. Quite often she'll say, "My name is Beatrice," which is very funny. But to us, even though she's nearly 3, she is and always will be Baby Bee, and everyone calls her Bee. With Bee, we wanted a name that fitted with her older siblings. We wanted a name that was hopeful and suitable for a rainbow baby, a baby that comes after having lost a baby. And it was really hard to find a name that fitted all of those things, and we went through lots of options. We thought about Phoebe, we thought about Seren, meaning star. There are whole lists of names on my blog, and we were asking people, what would you call? Iris was a popular one, meaning rainbow, and Beatrice was always on the list, but I don't think either David or I were very sure of that name until Bee was born, and she just looked like a bee. She looked like a Beatrice, and her middle name is Hope, because she is our hope. She was our hope. I have a waking Edie here. Nope, she's settled back down again. She can tell that we're talking about her and her siblings, I think. So the name the name Beatrice is full of meaning. Isn't it, Edie? Is it full of meaning? Yes, it is. Yeah, it's full of meaning. So it means bringer of happiness, or she who brings joy. And she burst into our lives and has brought us so much happiness and so much joy and so much hope, which is her middle name. In Italian, the name Beatrice also means blessed, and we are very blessed to have her. I think Beatrice is a name for a big character, and I can imagine her being something really important in the future. She's strong-willed, she's a big character, and I think she's got a big name to go with that. But equally, the shortened version of Bee is very cute, and certainly as a toddler becoming a preschooler, she's very funny and cute, and it is very much a bee. There are lots of literature connections with Beatrice as well. So in Dante's poem, The Divine Comedy, Beatrice is his guide through paradise, and she is the spirit of love, the embodiment of the spirit of love. Also, of course, there's Beatrice in Much Ado About Nothing, and she's the witty, high-spirited heroine, and I would consider our Bee to be both witty and high-spirited. Beatrice can also mean voyager through life, which again is a wonderful meaning. So Beatrice, combined with her middle name of Hope, means bringer of hope and joy, and she definitely is that to us. William had his name from the beginning. William was named after David's granddad, who was also William. He was shortened to Bill. And the name Bill always makes me think of the musical Carousel. And I love the musical Carousel and the song My Boy Bill. One of the first videos I ever made was a compilation of photographs of William to the song My Boy Bill. We don't ever call him Bill, and we never planned to, actually. We always thought if we shortened William, it would be to Will, but we've never shortened it. He is William. We've never shortened his name at all. There are other reasons for calling him William. So there's Just William, books that both David and I enjoyed as children, and that we as grown-ups listened to in the car. Before we had children of our own, we used to listen to the audiobooks of Just William in the car. There's also William Wallace from Braveheart, a film that we both love. There's a good, strong Scottish connection with William, and I am part Scottish. And there is also already, before our William, a very famous William Henley, who wrote the poem Invictus, which became a very famous film quite recently. And we actually used part of the poem, part of the poem at their christening, at the twins' christening. And David read that, and it was beautiful and something I'll always treasure, something I'll always remember. We did choose William because of David's granddad, but it's also just a really strong name. It means mighty in battle. It also can mean resolute, protection, and determined. And it's really funny how children become their names, because William is obsessed with gymnastics at the moment, and he is absolutely determined to improve his game, and he wants to go to the Olympics and be a gymnast, and he's resolute, he's determined, he is really strong. And William's also really protective. He's very emotional, and he's got a real sense of family, and he's really enjoying being a big brother, and he loves looking after all his sisters. So it's funny that he's really growing into his name. When I used to say, when I was pregnant with the twins, I used to say Will Henley, and it always made me think rugby player, but I don't think our William's going to be a rugby player. He is a gymnast at heart, I think. Yeah, so that's William. And when we were pregnant with the twins, David and I had always loved the name Grace. I'm a primary school teacher, and I taught some lovely girls called Grace, so I really liked the name for that reason. And we also both David and I love U2, and we love the song Grace. So for a long time, Esther was going to be called Grace, but then there was the connection of Will and Grace, and we weren't really sure about that. And then we thought that Esther would be Matilda, until one day I told my mum, I think we're thinking about the name William and Matilda, and my mum went, "Oh, Willie and Tilly!" And so that was the end of that. So William always had his name. Strong family connection, strong meaning, sounded good with his surname. And William's middle name is Nairn, and that's actually my maiden name. And because I am one of two girls, the family name is coming to an end. So I promised my dad, and I kept my promise, that if I ever had a son, his middle name would be Nairn, so that the family name continues. And I'm really, really pleased we made that decision. And I'm glad my boys are Nairn. we went through such a long list of names for Esther. And when she was born, 3 months premature, she was written on her card on her incubator. It said Girl Henley. So she didn't have a name straight away, even when she was born. And she's the only one of our children that we haven't named immediately. And I think that's because we had reasons for changing what we thought she would be called. So we went against Will and Grace, and that was because of the television series Connection, and also because in an outdoor swimming pool I heard a mum call Gracie, and I thought, oh no, I don't want my daughter to be called that, so Grace was shelved at that point. And then my mum's Willie and Tilly comment meant that we weren't going to be able to call her Matilda, so that name was put on standby. And then we were going through lots and lots of names, and I like to discuss baby names with people, and I remember saying to David's mum, what about Esther? And David's mum said, it's very biblical, which it is. Esther is a very strong character in the Bible. She is a queen who leads her people to safety. She's a strong, determined woman. She's a heroine, a hero. When I was giving birth to Esther, we still obviously hadn't chosen her name, and there was a lovely student midwife who was looking after me. And her name, I remember asking her mid-labour, what's your name? Because I thought we might use her name. She said, my name's Naomi. So Esther was very nearly a Naomi. But then we thought about that, and Naomi means doesn't mean it. If you write Naomi backwards, it says I moan. So we thought maybe we won't have that. And Esther just kept ringing in my head. Esther, Esther. And then we realised that their name Esther means star. And on my blog, I've got written, Esther was a young Hebrew woman who risked her life to save her people. The Jewish festival Purim is in memory of Esther from the Old Testament. It can be shortened to Essie or to Star. Esther is also a heroine of Dickens' Bleak House. It's a Persian name with the meaning star. And actually, when she was born, I remember saying, I'm going to call her Star. I thought we'd have Will and Star. I thought that's what we call them, but she's always been Esther. And no one calls her anything else. She's Esther, our Esther. And now, since losing Tilda, she would never be our Star, because that has taken on a very different meaning for us. So she will always be Esther, queen of her people, strong, a fighter, which she has been from the moment she was born at 27 weeks. When Esther and William were exactly 1 year old, I found out I was pregnant again. As soon as I knew that that baby was going to be a little girl, I said to David, I want to call her Matilda. And we agreed straight away that that's what she would be called. David's family cat was called Matilda, which was one of the reasons that we liked that name. I also loved the name because of the Matilda in the Roald Dahl book. My sister at the time was living in Australia, so I really liked that connection. There's a strong connection between William and Matilda. I think Matilda was King William's wife. And also William and Matilda have the same meaning. They both mean mighty in battle. And they both have Germanic roots as well. And I grew up in Germany. But the fact that it had that strong link with William, I really, really liked, and was in fact why, when we first found out we were having twins, William and Matilda felt like a really good match to me. So I was really certain that I wanted to call this baby Matilda, and in fact, from the moment we knew she was a girl, we called her Matilda May. Quite openly to everyone. Part of me didn't want anyone to steal the name, I must be honest, but part of me I felt so connected to her from the very beginning. It just felt right to me to use her name. And actually, I'm so glad that we did, because Matilda died when she was 9 months old. So although she'd only been outside of me for 9 months, actually when I was carrying her, I had a really strong connection with her, and she already carried that name. And I think that's helped people to remember her very much, because I blogged about my pregnancy with her and used the name. So while I was pregnant, she was Matilda May, M-A-Y, because we knew that she was going to be born in May. Her due date was the 5th. She had two due dates, the 2nd and the 5th of May. She was born on the 2nd. But as I researched her name, I found the spelling M-A-E of May, and I really liked it. It had a lovely meaning, Star of the Sea. David and I are both outdoorsy people, and we both love the ocean. So to have a name that connected us with the sea just seemed really perfect for us. May, spelt in that way, also is a pet version of Mary, which is David's mum's name, and I really wanted to have that link to her as well. So when Matilda was born, perfect labour, laboured in the water, came out of the pool to give birth to her, and as she was born, the midwife said, "Does she have a name?" I said, "Yes, she's Matilda May," and she was. She just looked like her name, and I felt like I'd known her my whole life. On my blog, I always call Matilda Matilda May, and she's become quite a symbol, I think, for baby loss. And I kind of feel like Matilda May is a bit of a stage name for her. It's the symbolic name for raising awareness of SIDS and promoting safer sleep on my blog. And I'm really proud, actually, that I can do that in her name, in her honour. And I'm really overwhelmed by the number of people who 5 years on still remember her and still do things in her name, and that means such a lot to me. And I'm glad that she had such a strong name, and Matilda May has become a real part of our lives, and we have MMs everywhere. We have special logos, but Matilda May is most definitely her blog name. When she was in our home, in our family, she was Tilda. And when we talk about her around our dinner table, as we do every day, we talk about baby Tilda in the sky. And the children still every day talk about their sister. Even B, who's never met her, says, "Oh yeah, there's 5 children in our family, if you include the one up there." That's how they talk about her. So there were lots of different shortened forms of Matilda: Tilly, Millie, Matty, Maud, but Tilda was the one that stuck for us, and she will always be our baby Tilda, our Matilda May, our Star of the Sea. I really hope that you've enjoyed getting to know us a little bit better. It's really emotional talking about baby names, because you choose them with such care, and it's such a huge responsibility that you're giving this child a label for life and death. This is the name they're going to sign in the future. This is the name their colleagues will call them, their friends will call them. It's a huge, huge decision, and for me, the meaning of names is really important. So it was never about spelling or initials or having the same pattern or rhyming or any of those things that other people validly use to choose their names. For me, it was about meaning and character and some link between siblings and older family members. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm really new at filming for YouTube. Please do stick with me, because I intend to do it a lot more, and I really enjoy talking to you. Edie has slept through the entire thing. It's very hot here, and I think her way of dealing with the heat is this. This is Edie dealing with the heat in her gorgeous Lily and Sid romper. And I am not afraid to say that I am sat here in my vest and my underwear because it is so hot. But yeah, thanks for watching. I would love to know what your children are called and how you chose their names and what the meanings are behind them. If you'd like to tell me, please leave a comment below. I read every single comment and they mean the world to me. Also, I just love baby names, and I'm really sad that Edith is more than likely our last baby, and so I won't be choosing another name. I think we might have to get a dog. But I'd love to know what your children are called, so please do let me know in the comments. Thanks.